वेलकम टू नीट बीरगंज यूट्यूब चैनल। आज से हम लोग एक नया ट्यूटोरियल स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं रिएक्ट जेएस पे एंड आई होप आप सभी लोग इसे एंजॉय करेंगे एंड आई कैन एश्योर यू दिस टॉपिक इज रियली वेरी वेरी मच इंटरेस्टिंग एंड यू पीपल आर गोइंग टू really enjoy learning it. So let us start our new tutorial on ReactJS. As the name says, ReactJS, in the last of the name you can see there is written JS. So basically this React, it belongs to JavaScript. So it's a library of JavaScript. So you can basically say ReactJS is a JavaScript library, and we use this ReactJS library to create UI interfaces. So let us start digging about some history of this ReactJS from where it evolved. Uh, it was basically developed by Facebook in the year 2011, and in 2013 it get open sourced and people start using it. So and in the present in the present condition, that is in 2021, or you can say in the last 2 or 3 years, uh, really it's there is a, you can see, boom in this sector, and people, it's much demanding and people are using React.js for creating UI interfaces. Many of the multinational companies are using this library to create UI interfaces, and there are number of advantages. I can assure you, you will get to know with me. Let us move on to learn this tutorial. So let us start learning it. What is React.js? As you can see, it's the most popular JavaScript front-end libraries. Okay, so in JavaScript, it's a front-end library of JavaScript, and it is basically used to build UI components, nothing else. That's simple. The only purpose of React.js is to create UI component. This should be very much clear with us that the one and only purpose of this React.js is to create UI component. And the second benefit of it, that it is open source and it is component based front-end library. So later on, when we will move on and we will start learning more in depth about React.js, we will get to know much about it, and we will see uh, what are the different components are, how it works, and how we can use React.js to simplify our work, and it can benefit us in many ways. Now the second question arises, why do we use it? Every people is asking, even you can create web pages with the help of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then why, what is the need of using React.js? And the answer lies is speed. Yes, in the present scenario, speed is everything. You need to you need to form a you need to make a web page in a very less time. In a less time, you need to make efficient web page. You need to create web page, uh, I mean in uh, as fast as you can, and that's why you need library, or you need something else than HTML that can help you a lot. And here is the solution, that is the React.js is with us, and we can speed up our process to build this web page in a fast manner. the, Another the question arises that ये आखिर इतना फास्ट क्यों है, why, how? And the answer is the DOM, that is the the DOM of the DOM which is used by this React.js. It's a virtual DOM. So actually, when you go in depth, when we will start learning, we will go in depth and we will find there are actually there is a DOM of server, sorry, a browser, and there is a virtual DOM of React. So when you make some changes, you make changes in the virtual DOM of the React, and then that change got reflected in the actual DOM of the browser. That is what which makes which saves your time, and in a very less time you make such a great website in a very less time. The second benefit of why should we use it is the client as well as server side rendering uh, in React.js, which makes the use of this React very easy. And I mean, it saves you lots of time. Whenever you move from one page to another web page, you will see that there is server side rendering, which takes a lots of your time. But in React, by using its virtual router, I mean the React router DOM, uh, the switching between one page to another web page is it takes very less time. And mm, uh, it was as you know, first it was used by Facebook, and later on Instagram, WhatsApp, even they also started using React.js. Yes. So the next question is, what is the prerequisite to start learning React.js? There is nothing much. You must have a knowledge of HTML, basic knowledge of HTML5, 5, or basic knowledge of HTML is sufficient. Then another thing, you must have a knowledge of CSS, and you must have a little bit knowledge of JavaScript also. Now, if you have knowledge of ECMAScripts, then it would be grateful. Yes, and if you don't, then you will get used of it. No problem. So let us discuss some features of JSX. The features of React.js. What the features of the different React.js that are used. So the first feature is the JSX. So you must be thinking, what is JSX? So actually, JSX there stands for JavaScript XML. They are JavaScript XML. They are JavaScript syntax extension. They are much like HTML, but they are not actually HTML. And the another thing is the component based architecture. When we will move on, we will see that the whole website is divided into different components, and uh, we will use the different components at different places, and definitely it's going to save our time. You will see it later on. The third thing is the virtual DOM. As I said earlier, the React has its own virtual DOM, and whatever changes we make, it first gets implemented in the virtual DOM, and then later on, these changes in the virtual DOM are compared with the actual DOM of the browser, and whatever change we have made, those changes are compared and they are only reflected, and that's how much of our time are saved with the help of virtual DOM. And the last and the most useful thing is simplicity and reusability. You can use a single component number of times and you can save your time. As for example, अगर आप एक HTML में आप एक वेब पेज का डिज़ाइन आप कर रहे हैं, तो आपको एक पूरा पीस ऑफ कोड फ्रॉम स्क्रैच टू एंड आपको एवरीथिंग आपको लिखना पड़ता है. But in React.js, you will see that you have break down the whole web page into different components. As for example, there is header component, there is component for sidebar, there is a component for footer, and you are using the same component of header, footer, and sidebar in different web pages with a slight different changes. So that's what is saving your time. So there, like everything, there are some pros and cons of React. Yes. So let us discuss some pros and cons. That is some pros, that is advantage of React. Yes, that it's easy to learn and use in a very less time. You can learn React.js and you can start developing websites. I mean, you can start creating UI interfaces on it. Another thing is it's a dynamic app, um, having reusable components, and which you can use in different web pages to uh, create your web page in less time. And it has a community of millions of developers. I mean, it's such a use. There is a community. I mean, every day there are some new improvements are going on. Everything, some new developments are going on. Some new developments are coming into force, and you will get ample number of chances to go through those developments. Even you can implement those developments in your own workplace. And if some problem arises, you can discuss your problem with those community. And and the community is such wide that it will definitely help to solve our problems. And like pros, there are some cons also of this react.js. like the react.js is evolving so fast that there is very poor documentation. And another thing is the JSX, the JavaScript extension, I mean the XML, uh, which itself for some developers it could be a barrier, but not for everyone. And the the biggest disadvantage or the cons of React.js is that the React.js can only be used to create UI components, nothing else. For backend, again, you have to go through MongoDB or some other things. So you can use the backend. You can work with the backend, but with React.js, you can work only on front end. That means you can only create the UI interface. So the most important thing arises, everything we have discussed about React. What was its pros and cons? Why should we use it? How should we use it? And the most important question arises is how to set up the React.js environment. So the step one, as you can see, first you have to install Visual Studio Code. You can just search it on Google, and you can install the very recent version of Visual Studio Code. And not only you can run JavaScript programs or HTML, but you can run number of programs like PHPs and many others on this platform. And it's a very much helpful code editor, I can assure, and you can use it. And the second step is to install Node.js. And you have to just Google it Node.js, and try to install the recent version according to your PC. Like if you are using Windows, you can download Node.js for your window. If you are a MacBook user, you can download it for iOS. If you are a Linux user, you can use for Linux, and install the Node.js. After installing Node.js, simply go to your terminal or your CMD, and you have to just write down npm install hyphen global create react app. So after you write and run this command, so it will take some time. And the npm, that is node package manager. Again, you can see above I have written npm oblique npx. So there is a very less difference between npm and npx. So we will discuss it later on. uh, First, let us discuss how to get this setup complete. So just write down npm install global create react app, and after some time you will see that it has got installed in the C drive. And you can check the version of npm by just writing create react app hyphen version. After writing it, once your installation is complete, you can see the version of your npm. uh, and then after the installation is complete and you have checked the version, the another step is to go to whichever folder you want. You can you can select your D drive, E drive, or you can remain in the C drive also, but I would suggest to use some other drive other than C. Go to another drive, and then you have to install react app. So you will have to open that drive, and then create a folder uh, with whatever name. Say let the name be react 2021. And then inside that folder, you will have to create in the CM, you will just have to write create react app with the project name. Mm, Whatever you want to give the project name, you can just write it down, and then run this command. The whole uh, After completing the installation, uh, you would be you can start uh, working on a React.js platform. And we will see in the next tutorial in complete practical form how to install this React, how to install video code editor, and how to set up the React environment in our personal computer, and how to start learning React. So thank you for today's tutorial. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.